Happy Friday! Welcome back to Drinking by My Shelf. My name is Emma and today I'm going to be doing my May book haul. Full disclaimer, I'm actually going to start with 3 books that I got in April, but they arrived literally just after I finished filming my April book haul. Like, I pressed stop on the camera and then the postman knocked on the door. So I'm going to slot them in here real quick. So the first book that I got was The Luster of Lost Things by Sophie Chen Keller. And this one sounds so magical and adorable and lovely. It's about a little boy who has a communication disorder, which keeps him trapped inside his own head, basically, and he then sees the world in this really magical and unique way. The young boy, Walter's mother, owns a dessert shop, and when the landlord threatens to close them down, Walter has to go on a mission to try and save the dessert shop. It sounds so heartwarming and lovely, and this one comes out on the 8th of August. Then I got The Marsh King's Daughter by Karen Dion, and I already had an e-arc of this one, but I'm excited to now have the physical book. This one sounds so great. It's coming out next month, and it's about a woman who was born as the product of an abduction. So kind of like Room, her mother was kidnapped, and then she is the child of her mother and the abductor. So that happened in her past, and she's kept it a secret her whole life. We then flash forward to meet her as an adult, when she just hears the news that her father, the abductor, has just escaped from prison, and only she knows him well enough to track him down. And then the last one that I got in April was Touch by Courtney Maum, which I actually did start to read and then DNF'd about 3/4 of the way through because I just kind of lost interest. But I was kind of unconvinced, even from just reading the premise. I wasn't sure if I was going to love it anyway. So I think if you hear the premise and think that you'll like it, you probably will, because it's pretty much what I expected. It's about a woman who's a trend forecaster. I liked reading that because that was a really interesting job I've never really heard about before. She is predicting that people are going to stop wanting technology, that people are going to start craving real human contact and interaction. But she's just been hired by a huge tech company because they want her to forecast trends and help them figure out what products they should be designing. So she's got this struggle to convince them that people aren't going to be wanting to buy their products at all. Okay, moving into actual May books. The first book that I got in May was Into the Water by Paula Hawkins, and I pre-ordered this one months and months ago, so I was so excited when it arrived. This, of course, is by the woman who wrote The Girl on the Train, which I absolutely loved. I was so gripped by that book. I'm a real sucker for those Gone Girl, Girl on the Train. I just bloody love them all. But I'm really intrigued to read this one because I've heard really mixed things. Some people have said that it's 100 times better than A Girl on the Train, and some people have said that they thought it was disappointing. And I think the main thing is I need to go into it not expecting The Girl on the Train, because I think from what people have said, it's not like a gripping page-turning thriller in that vein. It's more of a kind of subtle human interest story, which sounds fantastic, so I'm excited to love it. That was the only book that I actually bought myself this month, so that was pretty good and restrained, and then the rest of these are books I got sent from publishers. I got Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman, which I've already read and I absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars. Apparently Reese Witherspoon has picked it up to be her next project, which is always such a good sign, because did you guys see Big Little Lies? It was bloody amazing. It's, how do I explain it? It's about this woman who essentially is just very, very lonely. She has, her only real relationship is with her mother, who she has this very verbally abusive relationship with over the phone, and they don't see each other. And we know there's some history there, which you'll find out as the book goes on. Aside from going to work, she doesn't see other people ever. She has this routine for how to get from Friday afternoon to Monday morning when she's not in the office, which essentially just involves drinking her way through it. It's this really sad and lonely setup. But at the beginning of the book, she happens to be at the scene when an old man falls on the street, and her and one of her colleagues have to help him and help get him to hospital and bring him his shopping and stuff like that. And through that, they form this really unlikely friendship. And through these new friendships, Eleanor kind of gains the confidence to start exploring her past and figuring out where her future can go. That was very cheesy, but it's a really lovely book, so big ol' recommend on this one. Then I got The Shark Club by Anne Kidd Taylor, which is described as a novel about love, loss, and sharks. So I'm sold. I'm kind of obsessed with anything to do with sharks because I'm so scared of them. Like Jaws is one of my favourite movies. I'll watch anything with sharks in it. This one is definitely not like a shark horror story, but the beginning, it says on the back, is about the main girl when she's 12 having her first kiss and then the same day being attacked by a shark. What a great opening. And then it flashes forward to her as an adult and how she's become like a shark expert and like cool. And there's a fin on the front. I mean, it's like all my favourite things. The next book I got sent, I'm so excited about. It's called Nailing Jess by Trina Scully, and it got sent to me in a little package with other things like a candy hearts lipstick and stuff, and it sounds so good. So it's set in this gender-bent matriarchal world where women are on top and there's a serial killer on the loose who's killing teenage boys. The main character is DCI Jane Wayne, who's just been demoted for inappropriate behaviour. So now, shock horror, she has to take orders from a man. And I love this, what it says on the back. not just any man, an ugly meninist that refuses to shave. I love anything that plays with sexism and gender stereotypes, and I also love crime novels, so perfect combo. Next I got Bring Her Home by David Bell. This one comes out in July, and it's about a man who, a year and a half after his wife dies, his teenage daughter goes missing along with her best friend. And they're eventually found. The best friend is dead and his teenage daughter is very, very badly beaten. So he has to find out what happened, but along the way he'll discover that even the dead have secrets. Okay, next I got Fingerprints of Previous Owners by Rebecca Entel. This one comes out in June, and it's about a Caribbean luxury resort built on top of a former slave plantation, and the island basically refused to ever acknowledge that this used to be there. But one of the maids who works at the hotel, called Myrna, her ancestors used to work on the plantation. So she works at the hotel by day, and at night she's secretly excavating the ruins of the plantation and uncovering the secrets that the island have been hiding. That sounds great, and also can we talk about how beautiful this cover is? And the last physical book I got was Cake Time by C.L. Ju, which is a novel told through stories. It's a series of short stories, but they each have the same female protagonist at different stages through her life. And it's described in the back as smart but slightly strange, so instantly I'm sold. So the first e-arc that I got was Last Seen by Lucy Clark. This one comes out in June, and it's about two young boys who go missing at sea and only one of them returns alive. 7 years later, on the anniversary of this accident, the boy who survived suddenly goes missing. It seems that someone knows exactly what happened on that day 7 years ago, and they will do anything to keep it buried. Then I got Don't Close Your Eyes by Holly Seddon, which comes out in July. This one is about two twin sisters who haven't spoken in years. They've led completely separate lives, and one of them has become a recluse who never leaves the house. To be honest, it had one of those pretty generic blurbs about the secrets that they're going to uncover in their family, but the thing is, I just always love those books. And the reviews on Goodreads really did say that the twist will take you by surprise, so I'm just a sucker for that. I can't resist. I'm going to give it a go. And then the last two ebooks I got as a consolation prize from The Scheme, which was run by Penguin Random House, was their search for their next publicists, and I applied and I really wanted to get it, but I didn't. But as a consolation prize, they did give everybody 2 ebooks to read, so that was very nice of them. So the first one was One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus, and I just started reading that one last night. It comes out on the 1st of June, and what's happened so far that I read last night is that a group of teenagers end up in detention together for something that they all know they didn't do. It started off really reminding me of The Breakfast Club. You've got all these different high school stereotypes in one room, and it seems like it's going to be this kind of uplifting story about friendship, but very quickly it changes tone entirely, because one of the boys in detention has an allergic reaction. He's very, very allergic to peanuts, and he instantly dies. But the weird thing is, he was only drinking water, so it seems that somebody deliberately poisoned his water. So now we're suddenly into this murder case, and oh my god, I'm gripped already. And then finally, the other one I got from The Scheme was Truly Madly Guilty by Liane Moriarty, who's the author of Big Little Lies, which I also still haven't read, but I do have the ebook, but I absolutely loved the show. And I've read her books before. I read The Husband's Secret, and I think one other one. She's great. She just writes these really fun books about intertwining secrets and lives, and it's great. This one's about a couple who decide to go on a weekend away with a group of other couples, and then all I know from reading the description is that months later they keep asking themselves, what if we hadn't gone? So something happens on this weekend, we don't know what it's going to be, I know it's going to be exciting. So that's it, that was my book haul from May, and I'm really excited about all the books on this list. And do leave me a comment below if you've read any of those books, because I would love to hear your thoughts on them. And of course, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button below for new videos every Friday. See you next time!